All right, looks like we are live. Welcome back, everybody. For those of you who are new to the channel, my name is Gabriel Quinn. I'm an artist, illustrator, concept artist, all that fun stuff. And today, I'm doing something I've never done before, which is kind of cool. Normally, I do kind of world building streams where I go through designs or I do designs live for different either existing properties or usually my own ideas. But today, I'm going to be working on my Kickstarter project since I've been feeling this pull in both directions, wanting to work on my personal projects, wanting to work on this uh, business venture, which is also a personal project. But I figured, even though I haven't worked on this project at all on stream, might as well try and check it out and see what you guys think. So here we have some preliminary artwork for the project. This game is really cool. It's going to be a card game, a strategy card game. It's designed right now to be a 1v1 strategy card game that you can play right out of the box with your friend of choice or whoever. It's hopefully going to be easy to teach, but have like a super high ceiling of skill. We're really inspired by wanting it to feel like it has the ceiling of chess, but also the floor of simplicity of chess, where you can explain chess pretty easily, but the ceiling is super high. And then also the fun and excitement that comes with like poker and bluffing and all of that stuff and strategy. But I'm not really going to be talking too much about the gameplay. We're going to be talking more about the art direction and sketches and thumbnails and ideas. So most of my notes for this project are actually existing in material form. So I have a lot of it in sketchbooks and a lot of it in I have some on my iPad actually, which I could go grab and import some stuff over. But that's not really the main thing we're focused on here today. Today we're going to be focusing on working on a bunch of thumbnails. So the total amount of illustrations for this game is going to be somewhere in between 40 and 60. We haven't decided yet in terms of unique card designs. So it's my job as the artist and the art director and all that stuff to figure out what those thumbnails are going to look like and set all that up and everything, which is really exciting and cool. This was one of the tester artworks. We had two kind of main tester images for this project. I can go through both of them. So one of them was this early version of the design where I wanted the game to feel a lot like yeah, here we go. Yeah, I wanted the game to feel a lot like, oh, also before I continue, what I'll say is that I am getting over a cold, so my voice is super scrangly and crazy. My voice is totally wrecked. So apologies for that. Apologies for my voice currently. If I sound a little congested, I definitely did not take my my girlfriend's advice and avoid milk. I had milk. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry, my love. I had milk. Rest in peace. So I'm even more congested, even though I'm sick. So I'm feeling a little under the weather today, which is bound to happen here and there. You know, you're gonna feel under the weather here and there. Hopefully it's not too annoying, my sick voice. But for some reason, whenever I'm in like a strange state, like the stream does really well. Like I remember I had to do a stream from like a family member's house and I was like in this back room and I had bad audio and it's like my most viewed stream for like by a long shot. It has like over 100,000 views or whatever. And it's like, I think it's because the thumbnail was good, to be honest. I should probably optimize my thumbnails more. But you guys know what I'm really about here, which is I'm really just about cool projects and cool ideas. So yeah, coming back to the idea, now that we've acknowledged that I'm sick. Also, what's up, Varun in the chat? He's here. Let's go. Elaine Mogena says, hey there. What's up, Elaine? How's it going? We have Captain Juniper. Yo, back at ya, Captain Juniper. And Varun says, you sound like the same big dog. Big dog. But yeah. As per usual on these streams, I answer every question typically, and I love talking to the chat. So keep it coming and keep talking to me about stuff. I love it. But yeah, so I have a bunch of different versions of this design. This one here, you can see that oh wow, we tried so many different things for this project. So the original idea was for it to feel a lot like a tarot card. We wanted the long aspect ratio of the tarot card. But there was a gameplay restriction we wanted to include, which was we wanted it to be a 2-to-1 aspect ratio, so twice as long as it is tall, or twice as wide as it is tall. And you can see here, this is a 2-to-1 aspect ratio, so it's two perfect squares next to each other. And this allows for the cards to work on a grid, and it makes its own grid. So you don't need a playmat or anything to play the game. It creates its own grid by virtue of the cards, and they can rotate and all of that stuff. So my first kind of aesthetic design was this quick sketch, which feels very medieval, feels like a medieval illustration. It feels like a tarot card, which is kind of cool. And that's exactly what I wanted it to feel. I want like a kind of embellished border and all of that stuff. And here you can see I have a really nice, fun, distressed, type font there for Sir Lizard Rider Raccoon the Fourth, super fun medieval kind of name and very basic design here. The flag and the spear are breaking the frame, which looks really cool. And me and my business partner, or I don't want to say business partner, my project partner, who's a game designer, who's awesome, and I'm so glad we met. We're really cooking on this game. We were going back and forth on the aesthetic and stuff, and I ended up trying, after we did some gameplay tests and all that stuff, I ended up trying some things with this design, although I'll talk a little bit more about this. So we didn't quite know. Oh my god, there's the world's loudest ambulance out there. Wow, I think OBS is filtering it out. Man, technology is amazing. You can have the world's loudest ambulance outside. I'm here in New York City, right next to an intersection, so like, it's just crazy. Every day it's crazy. Some crazy guy leaning on his horn for no reason. Anyway, before I go to the next iterations of design, in terms of gameplay, I wasn't 100% certain what we wanted to do. So here I just kind of had the type sort of showing the lizard guy. This was just kind of a fun aesthetic thing to see how we liked how that felt. But then what was interesting is we tried this thing where we wanted different modalities for the, oh, this is a different version here. This is its own thing, yeah. Where are we here? I'm trying to see. Okay, cool. Yeah, I wanted to try something where there were stats for each side, and that was a hard thing to map out because as you are designing and as you are trying things out and all of that stuff, you wanted to figure out how the gameplay is going to work, and the cards are going to fight each other on this grid. So I was thinking like, all right, maybe we make it simple. We just use a number value system. So, like there's a, an attack and defense. Maybe the triangle going in is the defense, the triangle going out is attack, and all that stuff. And I was trying these different ideas out, and we were going back and forth and everything. And, it was kind of, it was both fruitful and also kind of like, didn't really do what we wanted it to do. This was a way that we were going to be able to keep lots of text if we kind of kept it as minimal as this. But in consultation with some friends online and some people, which is always so great to have good consultation and good friends you can talk to about this stuff, because it just makes such a huge difference. Oh my God, does it make such a big difference? Trying to remove certain versions so I can actually access here's my little signature guy there. There we go. Yeah, trying to access the actual real early version of this. So, yeah. Okay, so we realized that there actually needed to be a lot more intensity and boldness to those kind of sides. And the playtest cards we were using to do this, I can kind of show you what they have been looking like. Because it is cool. So we've been using cards here. I'll pull in a screenshot so you guys can kind of see how it's been. In the playtesting, to make things really simple, we went with a super easy system here where different sides of the card have different elements. So like, for instance, one side could have a ranged attack, R for ranged. You could have just A for normal attack. So there would be sides of the card that could not attack another card. So there's like a cool gameplay thing there where, cards can rotate on one axis or they can move one tile, but they can't break from the formation. It's like a lot of gameplay stuff. But what you need to know is that the sides were specific. Part of that was because I had so much fun ideating on the idea of this raccoon riding a big lizard, a crocodile kind of sort of vibe, and that this side would have highly superior attack, and it probably maybe had a lower attack stat on the back. Like it could whip it with its tail maybe, but it has this crazy powerful attack on this side that has the spear and the mouth of the lizard, you know? So that was like a fun flavor win where we could achieve some really cool aesthetic stuff there. And also like, have it match the gameplay and be informed by the gameplay. So that kind of set in motion this mode of thinking where the different sides have these different properties. So moving on from that, I decided to try a different kind of aesthetic. So what I ended up trying was this version where I kept the same kind of idea of, you know, creature with a illustrated border and all of that stuff. But I started to think about how, can we optimize the sides aesthetically somehow? So I started thinking about how we could maybe indicate that one side has range. And how, like, you know, if we were to put a bow here and a bow is almost part of the card design, does that imply like a ranged attack? Is that something that we can do? Ooh, maybe, who knows? And then I was also considering that there was a mechanic we were thinking about where if a card was like next to another card that had the same ability, which was fortify. We had this fortify ability where two you know, cards with fortify, if you put them next to each other, they would kind of perfectly line up. So you'd have this cool matching of patterns as things kind of connected. And that was a really cool idea for a second, where we were thinking about how they could fit together and make cool combinations, and maybe like there could be a cool found combination somewhere and not in another place. And, you know, it ended up not being super relevant when we were doing the playtesting. Again, kind of going back to our playtest version that I pulled in here somewhere. Where did I pull it? Here it is. Yeah, I'll pull it up again in the front. So yeah, and then we still were having this kind of playtest version where, you know, it was just super simple. We had pips for attack and defense. Oh, that was another thing. We went without the number value and started focusing on pips after talking to some friends and stuff, where, you know, the blue represented defense, the little diamonds represented attack, and that made things so much simpler. Oh my gosh. And it kind of grounded us in this 1-to-4 ratio of stats where, you know, 1-to-4 is a great ratio, 4 being extremely high, and then, you know, 1 being pretty low, 2-to-3 being more common, and then thinking about like flavor trade-offs, right? So like the one thing I'll say about this game, because I've been just talking about gameplay stuff and aesthetic and everything, but this is a game. It's called Battle for Farfield, or no, we changed it. Now it's called the War for Farfield. War for Farfield. Super fun name. And it's all of these animals going to war with each other, battling over this very, very wonderful verdant land. So there's a constant conflict and a back and forth between these creatures. And we've been coming up with so many fun ideas for the different animals and designs. One of them, namely, being like this one, Beaver Camp. This is a rough sketch I did on the iPad while we were in a game of Magic the Gathering. I sketched this out. This was super fun. So the idea that there's a beaver encampment, they've made a fort out of logs and sharpened their sticks and everything, which is super fun. The idea of, here's a rough sketch of some shrews coming over a hill, and they have their big banner. You know, their big banner full of all their stories, and they've been weaving, and they have their little thistle swords and all that stuff, which is super fun. And then here's my favorite one I've done so far. I think this idea rules, which is a porcupine in a flower garden. And of course, he has his big pike thing, which maybe is a little bit, you know, brutal. We'll have to, we're still kind of figuring out how brutal we want this game to look. But he has his, he has all these flowers stuck to his quills, which I think is like, the perfect aesthetic for what we're going for, which is beautiful but dangerous, and very full of a lot of heart, you know. And then some little pipers, some pipers piping. We have some little ferrets or weasels playing the piper, and they're the kind of like bard units that would buff other units. And as we were sketching this out, or as I was sketching this out, and we were kind of communicating, the world was starting to unfold. And usually when you're designing for a specific project, like this is for a Kickstarter game, it's for a card game, you want the world building and the narrative to kind of match the aesthetic of the gameplay. You want those things to be congruent. And both of us, me and my partner, His name is Michael, and I know he won't. Yeah, I'm not like doxing his full name or anything. His name is Mike. He's a really cool guy. Michael's a cool guy. We're both like hardcore Magic players, so we're both kind of really locked in to the kind of game design where you have to be really, really considerate of all these different factors of having the gameplay match the aesthetic, looking for those fun opportunities where things just make sense. Like for instance, the guy here, our porcupine, we had the idea that he's prickly. I was sketching out the little icon for prickly. This is maybe the icon for prickly, and which means that this card wouldn't be able to be supported by another card, which is kind of cool. Like you can't buff him because you can't help him because he's so prickly. But then maybe there's some kind of consequence for the enemies too. Like who knows? And so like all these different ideas, right? And then for the beaver camp, this unit would be immobile, for instance. So it would have a big stat boost, but it wouldn't be able to move or rotate. So it's kind of like, it's a big risk playing this, especially early. So it's this cool thing. And then the Pipers are kind of giving a buff to other units and all that stuff. And we're still figuring this out. So in this version, I was thinking about how can I have kind of keywords. So stuff like prickly or flying or, helping others or smash or whatever kind of keywords we have. Again, thinking a lot from the world of Magic, from what we both like and what we both know works really well for game design. How can we fit that on a card and also fit the stats? So here, I was really considering just having like on the left side the values from 1 to 4 of attack and defense, but I was really thinking about it. And when you have a big battlefield full of cards, like having to look at each card and then look at like this tiny little corner for the information, it's not very efficient and you can make a lot of mistakes very easily. So again, going back to our playtest cards, what made the playtest cards so good was their simplicity. So coming back, the fact that it was the faces for attack, defense, if they were weak on one side, W for weak, it was P for poke, like they could go over a unit. If they have like a long neck or like a spear, they could go over a unit. It's kind of cool. Anyway, the fact of the matter is that the playtest cards were so elegant in their design, especially where the pips were. The pips were so easy to see and to be clear that when I returned back to this design of the Heron, which I love this design, and the illustration rules. It's so cool. So coming back to this, I was really feeling this this kind of frustration and this kind of feeling of like, this isn't it. We got to rethink this, and I like the idea of fitting the parts of the stats on the card art itself, but it has to be more clear. It also raises questions for keywords, like how do we show the keywords? Are they symbols like this, just free floating in space? How do we make them visually distinct? Rada, rada, rada. There's so much stuff, which is like it's a lot to consider, and this is like so cool. And this is why I love design so much. And I love complex problems, complex solutions, or simple solutions for complex problems. It's been a great challenge working on this project, and there's been a part of me that has been very frustrated during the process because, you want things to just be able to move forward. Like for me, if my benchmark is like, I just need to do 40 illustrations, I want to just be able to bash those out, put it out, see if people like it, see if people respond to the idea, and, it goes to print or it doesn't or whatever ends up happening with the Kickstarter. But the fact of the matter is there is still gameplay stuff to solve. And we were back and forth on a lot of things, and so Michael's been doing an incredible job with gameplay testing. And this is a cool thing with partnering with a trusted collaborator, is that you can rely on them to do the things that you can't do. So I've been wanting to make a card game for years. Like actually, I've been really wanting to, and then thinking about like, oh, well, I have to put my game designer hat on, and I gotta be a game designer, and I gotta do everything myself, and rah, 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 rah. And there's this pressure of like auteurship that a lot of people feel. And I was definitely feeling that pressure of auteurship for me. I had to do it. I had to figure it out, and I had to do it all myself, and blah, 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 blah. Because I wanted like my stamp on it, the Gabriel stamp. I made this. It is of me, But honestly, as I've gotten older, I really don't need that anymore. Like I don't need that like from the mind of Gabriel Quinn. Like I don't need that. I just want to be in collaboration, making things that make people feel excited and inspired. That's what I like. And so that doesn't really line up with needing authorship. In fact, it's directly oppositional to it. So what's cool about this whole thing is that I've been able to let go and step back and say, I'm not a game designer. I love game design. I love thinking about game design, but I am an artist. I have put all my points into the art skill tree. I've gone so far down that skill tree, and like, I don't need to reinvent myself and become a game designer just because I want to make a game. I can just talk to a game designer who put all of his points, or their points. My bad. I'm just joking. Speaking of my collaborator, specifically Michael, who put all of his points into game design, loving game design, thinking about game design all the time, and how we can meet in the middle, and he loves stuff about art and I love stuff about game design, and we can kind of, have fun. Another thing I realized is that when I would try to collaborate on projects with my friends who were artists, and the project needed other art related things, like I noticed that the art stuff was always very like tension inducing. There was all this tension and weirdness and like almost competition in a way, and not the healthy kind, which can exist, but it wasn't the healthy kind. It was like they just wouldn't be excited when you made good stuff. And when I showed up, for instance, with this tester image, I made this in a session, and I brought it over and I showed it to my gameplay guy, Michael, and we were talking about it, and he was like, this is thrilling. He got so excited seeing this image because he's never worked with an artist before. So it's like both of us are so excited about what the other one can do. It's so exciting. So he's been really killing it on the gameplay front and making sure that the game feels snappy and feels good. We've been back and forth on a lot of things. I definitely had a very strong vision going in. And we've been kind of meeting in the middle on a lot of stuff and then trying a lot of things. That's another thing with gameplay, just trying it again and again and again. He's like going to friends' weddings and pulling out this game and like playing it with people at the wedding. Like he's really locked in. So anyway, it's been super fun, and we've been back and forth on stuff. But today I wanted to do some sketching and some design stuff. But I couldn't really start that without giving you a preface. I know we've talked already for like, how long has it been now? Damn, like 20 minutes just on this. I feel bad for just droning on for 20 minutes. Although I don't know how often you guys get to see some under the hood gameplay or game design stuff. So it's maybe cool for you guys to see this. But that's where we're at right now. And these are the kind of ideas we've been thinking about. I have a bunch of other sketches, but I haven't. They're traditional somewhere in my life. But well, I can actually kind of show you for a second now. Wow. I've been living in this sketchbook for a while. Where am I? I am here. We are going to go face cam in a second. Let me see. Yeah, baby. I know how to use OBS. I'm a pro. I'm a streaming pro. Don't you know? Don't you know? Oh, here's a fun one. I was explaining how perspective works to my girlfriend in the park. So I have all these like weird perspective diagrams and principles and stuff that I was showing her how things work and foreshortening and everything. It was cool. But I needed to iron out some stuff. So you can kind of see here how I'm thinking through things. So I'm thinking through these different animal houses and how they think and what they feel. So actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to pull this up on stream by taking a photo and airdropping it to my computer. We're optimized, baby. We're so optimized. That's what we are. We're optimized. And yeah, if you guys have any design questions or any gameplay questions or anything like that, I'm happy to answer any questions. And then we're going to get to sketching because I really want to do a long sketching session where we're talking through the ideas, talking through the designs, and having fun. So I will upload this to my computer. So for lore, and the lore is important. The lore is like very important because the lore implies the gameplay in many ways. So pulling it up, here we are. Or actually, you know what? Let's not do it here. Let's do it in the actual file. So I've set up a file here for myself to refer to. Let me remove these and remove some of these elements. I think I want to remove some of this stuff. Yeah, here we go. And then we'll just flatten this group. So we have it as an aesthetic reference. This is loosely our aesthetic reference. We're not bound to this. We're still kind of open to changes in the future. But for now, this is kind of what we're going for. So we're going to pull that up and keep that on screen. But here's our notes that we made. So the cool thing, I mean, there's many cool things, obviously. We're going to rasterize this by hitting Control E. Oh, oops, we accidentally merged it. My bad. We're not going to rasterize it with Control E. We're going to rasterize it by hitting rasterize. And then we're going to clip the bottom. So making notes, I was imagining that there were these main forces kind of in combat, converging, fighting each other. So one of the forces being oh, yeah, this is so true. I'm still on face cam. Thank you, guys. Bam. Bam. We're back. Here we go. Here we are. Easy. We figured it out. Don't even worry about it. Me? Having problems with technology? Never. So, yeah, here are some of the things I was thinking through. So you can see that I'm thinking about main groups of information. So looking through these 3 projects, I wanted there to be a main conflict. And I was thinking of having kind of 3 main groups in conflict. So sort of having a rock, paper, scissors motif of like this circular conflict. These days, I'm actually thinking more that it's just going to be about the rodents and the birds and less about the canines. Originally, the canines were going to play a much larger role, but I like them more as a one-off thing. So the main thing is I wanted to focus mostly on the rodents and the birds. So the rodents, for the themes, and I'm thinking like broad themes, they probably really care about records. They care about keeping records, stories, legacy. You can see I put a star next to legacy because legacy is very important. Lineage, who you come from, prophecy. Maybe they have predictions. Maybe that's their reason for, going to war over Farfield. I'm thinking the family names are probably really funny. Like you have like, Sir Mouselington Mouseworth the fourth, or not the fourth, like Sir Mousington Mouseworth the like 23rd, but it's been like a month because they're rodents, so like the turnover's so high, so like you have these crazy Roman numeral names because they're so like there's been so many of them. I love that idea. The comically long lineage is hilarious to me. And then, that they're mainly focused on like clans, like there's many clans of different rodents. So there's like the mice, the rabbits, the shrews, as we saw before, the weasels, the this, the that. So thinking about these little, all the rodentia of the world being this big force that are very collaborative and working together. And then that they're the ones making a lot of this stuff. So I'm imagining that because little rodents have almost opposable thumbs, like they have very functional hands in many ways. Not as good as our hands, obviously, as human beings, but they're pretty good. They can pick stuff up and move stuff around. So I'm imagining the little mice kind of helping to make things for other animals, and maybe that's how they get them on their side to wage this war and to make this happen. And that how this would show up in the gameplay is that the rodents would be not fast. I wrote down fast originally, not fast, quick. I wanted quick. Quick felt better and felt good. Maybe they would have a focus on collaboration. They would be very nimble. Maybe nimble could be a keyword, so they're harder to hit or something like that. There could be like an interesting thing there with nimble. Very proud, so maybe there are very proud, brave little mice who are working to contribute to their legacy. I am Mouseworth the 56th and I will not surrender, like that kind of thing of like, you have so much legacy, you have this narrative you have to live up to. Very evasive, maybe. They're, again, kind of hard to pin down, hard to get. So they might have advantages in certain combat situations, who knows. And then they would be very good at exploiting weaknesses. So if they're small and they're not very strong, like let's say stat-wise they're not very strong, and they're little, maybe because they're so good at keeping records and remembering things, that they remember things about certain animals. Like, for instance, the big bad here, this is Goldbeak, who's kind of a villain of the story on the side of the birds. This animal, for instance, like it's just another Tuesday for Goldbeak. It's been like a month or something, and then, Mouseworth the 58th is avenging Mouseworth the 54th, you know what I mean? And they remember stuff that Goldbeak did. They remember things, but Goldbeak doesn't care. It's been like a very short time for Goldbeak, but the mice remember, and they keep records, and so maybe they're good at exploiting weaknesses. That's like the flavor and the story about it. Then I'm thinking about design motifs. So things that would show up a lot for the rodents is a lot of standards, a lot of banners. So they would have like flags and banners, ways to record things. And they would probably have like crests, like family crests, but they would be extremely simple, like an acorn or like a carrot or like something very, very simple. Nothing too crazy. So that's the kind of focus there. Their color schemes would probably be more red and gold. I feel like that just looks really good. Red and gold looks great. Focusing on that, I think, is great for the mice in particular and a lot of the rodentia, because it's gonna contrast well with a lot of the wild animals and a lot of like the darker kind of noir animals. And I think it's like brave and kind of, morally on the side of good inherently, which is kind of nice. And then they use a lot of natural weapons. So they use thistles. They use like a little sharpened thistle as a sword, or like a thorned twig. So they take a little rosebush thorn twig, and that's like a pretty menacing club for like a shrew, like an unnaturally big shrew or something. Maybe they use a wishbone, and the wishbone becomes like a slingshot. They use it as the base for a slingshot. That's pretty cool. They have slings, and they use teeth of larger animals and whittle it down into a sword or something. So I'm thinking about how or maybe they just use like a needle or a thimble, or also human-made items. We're still kind of mixed on whether or not humans are around. Right now we're thinking that they were around but aren't anymore. That's kind of where we're at. So there's some man-made objects, but not really. The humans are not really in play too much anymore in this scenario, let's say. Or like deserted, maybe, is a better way of thinking about it. Maybe they exist far, far away. So let's check on the chat really quick, because I know some people hopped in. Oh yeah, everyone was talking about the stream that popped off. Yeah, I think there was like a really good thumbnail for that one. I think I do want to focus on thumbnails more. The YouTube algorithm chose you. It did for a bit. It definitely did. Whenever I stream consistently, the YouTube algorithm loves pushing me. Hitman Tour says hi. Looks like we got some game design going on. Heck yeah, we do. So fun. I love game design. This is so much fun. Vern says very Armello coded, minus the furries. I don't know what that means. Vern said good game designer is really fun to work with. Oh, totally, dude. I'm so lucky. Arif Phillipser says, hello. Well, hello, Arif Phillipser. And then Varun has to go focus. Dude, good luck, dude. Good luck. Yeah, cool. We're all caught up. Nice. But yeah, so those are the kind of motifs we're thinking about and working on here. And then for the birds, the birds I'm so excited about. So Ari Phillips R. Okay, that's what I figured. I said Ari at first, so I know I think I got it right. I'm going to say I got it right. So there you go. So for the birds, the motifs I really wanted to focus on was for themes in particular to start out. The birds are smart. They love shiny things. They love collecting. They're all about wanting and desire. Some of the birds are very good tacticians because they're highly intelligent, like the crows and the corvids and whatnot. They're obsessed with beauty. They're very conniving and scheming. But you can make friends with them with an earned friendship. So much like how you can make friends with crows and all of that stuff, like you can make friends with some of the birds because you're going to be able to choose the cards you play with. If you put the rodents with the birds, which are naturally opposing each other, there could be an idea. There's an opportunity there for them to become friends. Like, the rodents make offerings and shiny offerings to the crows, or maybe Goldbeak is forcing certain rodents to fight for them, and turn on their own kind out of fear and out of control. So there's always kind of a lore reason why they would be fighting with each other and all that stuff. For the bird gameplay, I want them to feel lethal, but also fragile. So you can, if you have a counter for the birds, you're in good shape, but they're very dangerous. I want them to feel dangerous mostly because they're kind of like the big bad. And in this game, they're kind of sort of like the dragons of the world. If you're a mouse, this Goldbeak heron is a dragon. That's a dragon to you. And, obviously they have a lot of range and they're very pestering. The gameplay should feel very annoying and pestering if you're playing against birds. And they're biding their time. So they're patient and they're biding their time. I want that to be like enforced by the gameplay. For the motifs, the birds, I think, largely will only really wear something like a silk or something very fine. So even what we have around Goldbeak is probably not going to be the kind of costuming we put on the birds. We really want to focus mostly on jewels and jewelry, a lot of metallics and metals. And the gesture and the look and the feel of the bird should always be like looking like they want something, looking at you like you have something they want. That's the feeling I want the birds to have. They should feel very unsettling in a way, but in a way that you can get behind gameplay wise. Like if you play as them, you're like, I'm the bird, I'm going to get my shiny, like you can identify with it, but it's still kind of a little freaky, kind of cool. It'll attract a certain kind of player. That's for sure. So, I'm going to check the chat here. Hitmentor says, for art, do you prefer TCG design or video game design? I mean, it's hard to say. I haven't been a part of video game design before for the game design. I've done a lot of like concept art for games, but I haven't been involved in the gameplay side, like pretty much at all. So I haven't had the opportunity to really get involved. I love analyzing video game design and I love how certain games feel. But I don't think like I love playing games like Dark Souls and Hades and, all of that stuff. But I don't think I would what's the word I'm looking for? What's the thing I'm thinking of? I don't think I would want to design Hades for gameplay, but I love playing it. But something like Banner Saga, which is an indie game, turn-based tactical game, I would love to design a game like that. That would be cool. I would be cool on the game design of that, but then that feels kind of like a board game anyway. So I think the gameplay I like to design for is more like turn-based and kind of on the board. You're dealing with game pieces, you're making lots of decisions. So I think like I probably like for board games or card games, I like doing that side of game design more, but that doesn't mean I don't love playing games and don't appreciate video game design. I think it's so good. But you said for art. I mean, video games are fun because you can just do crazy stuff, and then some guys just has to model it, and some guy has to rig it, and some guy has to put it in the game. So it's kind of like the fun part for video games is very much the fun part if you're doing that kind of concept art. If you're just doing like 1,000 crates, I just want to blow my brains out. Which I don't ever take those gigs, man. But for TCG or for board games, oftentimes you have to go through the finishing stage more than you do for something like a video game. So it's that kind of thing. But yeah. Ari says, love all the lore, dude. Me too, man. We're really popping off. Ari also says, how many people in your team? Right now, it's just me and the gameplay designer. So we're trying to keep it as lean as possible. What we're hoping for this game is we're hoping for the Kickstarter to do well because we can do everything ourselves. Like we have the gameplay pretty much sorted. We need the card designs kind of figured out, which I'm hoping to make some progress on today. And then we're hoping to ship it on Kickstarter. I'm obviously on YouTube. I'm obviously making content and stuff. So I feel like I can try and push the project in my own way and use my charisma if it has an effect to get people excited about the game and to showcase what we're able to do with the game, and then we can do, and then after it like does well, we might hire a logistics person. If we do big numbers, like if it actually is making quite a bit of profit, we can hire a logistics person to sort out working with a printer and distributor, so we don't have to deal with it and optimize that for the highest yield on our end. But if it doesn't do crazy numbers, we'll just do it ourselves. It's not too crazy. We'll just work. I'll find a distributor and I'll find a thing. So I'll have to do it if it doesn't do big numbers. But hopefully it does some big numbers and people show up and they pledge for the game. We're trying to aim for it to be $25. We want it to be $25. We want it to be cheap. We want it to be easy to buy and really fun. That's our goal. But right now, just 2 people on our team. I think I'm looking for, when I answer these questions, and then I can hop back in. Liswa says, hello, an animator here, and your works are looking super cool so far. And I definitely relate to what you said about the tension and the stress going within the art industry. Oh, yeah, dude, are you kidding me? Nutso. Nutso. That's why I'm just doing my own game right now. I just don't want to deal with like taking a gig and getting laid off like 8 months later. Like I just don't want that headache. It's such a headache, dude. It's crazy. And then Anwar says, can you explain the card system, or is that NDA? I explained it a little bit earlier, sort of. So I'm not going to backtrack on that yet. It'll come up. The gameplay is going to come up as I keep talking about it. So we'll see. But for now, all you need to know is it's a turn-based on the board kind of card game, tactical card game, a war game. And your cards have stats, and they do battle with each other, and they can move, and it's a really cool system. Ari says, is the Kickstarter page up? Is there a way I can follow the project? You can follow the project just by subscribing to this channel. I mean, this is my first time talking about the project publicly at all. We've been back and forth since me and my game designer, we've been working for like half a year in slow development for this. We started with a different game, which is very, very high complexity, very intense, and they're going to require a lot more illustrations and with a much more, illustrative style, not as graphic. So that's going to take ages to finish. So it's unlikely that we'll be able to finish that one within the next 2 years. It'll probably be in the next 5 years we finish that one. So we still wanted to make a game together. So I pitched him this idea that I had for this game, and what I thought, the kind of domino card size 2-to-1 on the table battle game where it's turn-based and there's tactics and all of that stuff and keywords, and it's in a fun graphic style and it's animals, and he was super on board. So we've been working on it for a little bit. But no, the Kickstarter page is not up. For Kickstarter, you can only have your campaign run for 30 days. So I don't even think we're going to use the full 30 days. I think we're just going to do like 3 weeks or 2 weeks, even maybe 3 weeks. But we've now learned how much prep goes into a Kickstarter, so we'll see. Rafe says, oh, dang, this looks so amazing, Gabriel. Yo, thanks, Rafe. Thanks, dude. Oh, also, guys, speaking of world building, I have 2 quick notes to make. In the description, you can find a link to a 10-week boot camp that I'm teaching. It's a 10-week world design boot camp. You can check out some of my other VODs where I talk about world building and kind of see my process and see if I'm the kind of person who you would like to learn from for a 10-week period of time. The Gumroad link is in the description, so you can go check that out. But more excitingly, in 2 days, I'm doing a free introduction to world building workshop for anybody who wants to take it. And the link I will post here, actually. I will post it for you guys right here. I'll do it in the chat so you guys can have access. You can sign up right now, completely free. And the reason it's free is because it was my birthday, and I wanted to give something back, and you guys rule. And you guys have all been subscribing and super supportive, and like I just want to do stuff for you guys. So there's the link to the free workshop, and you can look at the extended boot camp for 10 weeks if you want to do that. And that one is priced very, very fairly by my efforts. So yeah. So now let's actually make some art. So let's stop talking and just make some art. I realize more and more I'm becoming a like more and more of a talking head kind of art streamer, which is I'm like doing less and less art, partly because I have so much to share. So it's gonna be interesting. We'll see. Dark Renaissance says, I appreciate the landscape orientation. It's so underused. Dude, this game is gonna, like, people are gonna be referencing this game for years to come, man. This is a very groundbreaking, cool thing that we're making. It's sick. So I made some little layouts here for some stuff that I want to try. So for instance, because what I was talking about before, where the stats of the cards were not very obvious, I want them to be extremely obvious. So I'm trying out a layout here where I always have the stats on the card, and I'm just going to have to make them work with the illustrations, right? Oh, Amber, long time no see. Amber says the bird is bomb. That's right, because you love birds and bird illustrations, so you would love this. That's so cool. Nice. Heck yeah. That's so sweet. Yeah, man. Hell yeah. So. Whoa! Whoa! Rafe said it's my birthday today, so I got the 10-week course as a gift for my parents. Let's go, dude! Happy birthday, fellow Taurus. I knew I liked you. I knew I liked you. I knew I liked you, Rafe. I knew you were a chiller. Fellow Taurus, rise up. Let's go. Hell yeah, dude. So I have to figure out how to make the to make this stuff work, dude. Taurus World Unite. So true, dude. So true. So obviously these cards are going to have rounded corners because you need rounded corners. Otherwise they're going to get dinged up and messed up. So we're going to round these corners very crudely. This is a crude corner rounded thing. And then you always ask the question, do you then make the interior bevel also rounded as well? That's kind of up to each individual's discretion, I suppose. Cool. So boiling things down back to, again, like the kind of gameplay tester cards for this, where we want the pips to be super clear, super obvious, and then we want the sides to be super clear and obvious. So rather than having a layer of embellishment, because I had in my original design, because I just love it so much, I love embellishment so much, because I had in my original design this little area where, like this little area here, where I had this kind of border within, I really liked it, and I didn't want to lose it. Or I liked the idea that there was a place for just embellishment. And I tried some versions of this where it was thicker and much more illustrative and much more, intense. But instead, I think I want to focus more on the actual illustration of the character and not necessarily the border design being a thing. So I have been super inspired by the artist Ivan Bilibin. He was one of my big influences when I was studying in art school. And I'll show some Ivan Bilibin illustrations here so you can get a sense of the vibe. And one main feature of his work, which I was just so taken by, was the power of the border design. I was so, enamored and loved these beautiful, gorgeous borders. I thought they were so cool. And like, I just really wanted to have that, in my own work. I wanted some sick borders in my own work. It was something that I was super about. I just wanted it. This is one of my favorite ones. This is one of the best ones and one of my favorite ones. This one right here, this like flaming knight. This is such a sick design. And this was one of the inspirations for the aesthetic of the game too. I wanted it to have this otherworldly feel. But again, we're kind of back and forth on that, on how it should feel, how we want it to feel. We want it to still feel contemporary, like it's of today, but have that reference to the old world feeling. But these borders are gorgeous, and I wanted something like that for the aesthetic of the card game. So I wanted there to be this kind of cool border design and that cool reference and those cool elements. But unfortunately, it just didn't work because when you're doing something with gameplay, there's narrative and then there's actual like gameplay function. And the narrative is important, but it has to follow the gameplay function. So unfortunately, having a super busy pattern when you want to be using pattern in general to indicate actual gameplay, it doesn't really work, which was, again, kind of a sort of a sad awakening for me at least. But limitations are what gives us freedom and opportunity, right? So in that way, we can totally have some cool, exciting, unique opportunities within this space. So that's what we want to do. We want to have cool, unique opportunities. So for this one, I'm thinking that we have one border. So I'll grab this. We'll make we'll grab our selection. We'll modify it. We'll make it have a border of like 3 pixels or so. Make a layer above. We'll fill it with some black. Blam. We have a little border there. And then something along the actual card as well. So we'll do the same thing. We make a border with our selection, and then we just fill that in with black. So yeah, I want to be doing some sketches. So the thing that I want to consider when I'm designing these illustrations is I want to consider the pips here for the attack and the defense stats. which is unfortunate because this design here of the bird is so cool. And I don't want to lose how it's overlapping the edge and coming over and kind of coming forward and intruding and peeling on top. So how can I get this same effect of it coming forward and still keep these gameplay indicators? Firstly, I think I have to kind of trim them down from where they're at right now. Right now, they're both kind of in this interesting spot. I'll duplicate them and I'll merge them down, and I'll think about how I can, make them more like the original designs. I want them to be kind of pushed diamonds, not necessarily perfect diamonds, but kind of indented diamonds, almost like stars. I think that's a cooler look than just diamonds. So we're going to super roughly chop it in. Okay, we kind of missed the mark there with our brush, which is allowed. It's okay to miss the mark, but it doesn't have the feel we want. So we're gonna run that back. And I think I'm just gonna sketch on top rather than trying to get the shape one try. We want it to have this kind of feeling. Yeah, that's much better. Here, we'll hop back. Benny Prey says, question for the free workshop. Will there be a recording? Unfortunately, I'm out of town on Saturday. I'd love to participate. Yeah, so the recording, if you sign up now, you'll get the recordings indefinitely. So if you sign up now, you'll be able to watch the recordings back forever and ever. And what I usually do is then I take those recordings, I edit them down a little bit, like I just kind of cut the white noise and I cut some, if like somebody coughs or something, or questions that aren't related or something like that. I'll usually cut those things and then I'll put those edited versions up, and then I'll put them up for like $20 in the future. So if you guys sign up now, you'll have them forever. Very worth it. Very, very worth it. In my opinion. And yeah, you can check from the page that it's, you can find on my Gumroad too. If you go down to my Gumroad, you can just find the free workshop link, and you can find the 10-week workshop or the 10-week boot camp as well. But yeah, I love doing free workshops. I did the shape design one last year. That was super fun, and I had a ton of fun with it, and I'm super glad I did it. And yeah, so for this year, we're doing world building. Intro to world building. The reason why I'm doing it as a free workshop is because for the 10-week world building boot camp, I do not want to go over intro to world building. I don't want that to be part of the 10 weeks. I want the 10 weeks to be specific to the things you're going to be doing while you're world building. I do not want people to be distracted and like not having a clear view going in. So this is actually mostly for the people going into the 10-week boot camp as a primer. Like, here's how you think about world building. Here's the context. Here's how we're going to approach it. And then you guys are going to go through like the rigorous training that the actual course comes up. Benny says, signed up. So excited. Dude, I'm so excited as well. Thank you. Rafe says, I got to go eat dinner, but I'm going to watch this VOD later on. The project sounds so exciting. Dude, thank you. Yeah, I think it's so exciting, dude. I'm super hyped for this. Take care, Rafe. Hell yeah. So, okay, so I like this shape here. I think we can make it more, we can verticalize it a little bit. And what this is also referencing is it's also referencing like a classic deck of cards, which I love. I love that it's referencing a classic deck of cards. When I was having a meeting with my game designer early on, I bought a pack of bicycles, just like sorry, not a pack of actual bicycles, the bicycle playing card deck. And I put it on the table and I said, this is a perfect product. And I took out the deck of playing cards and I, riffled through them and I put them on the table and then I shuffled them and I dealt some cards and I put it back and then I put it back in the box, closed the box, put it back in my pocket. And I said, that's what I want our game to feel like. I want it to feel as easy as that and as simple as that. I don't want to do this whole like giant box and giant case and all this stuff and deluxe edition. It's like, no, really good illustration, really good card back, make these really dynamic game pieces that will have multiple gameplay options. That's what we're going for. We're going for multiple gameplay options. So the game pieces will have their own set rules, but you can make your own games out of it. Part of that is because, again, we're such intense and avid Magic players that we oftentimes create our own formats and our own systems for playing the game from existing Magic cards, which is such a cool element of the game. Is you can make your own formats like Dan or whatever. I made this deck called the Graveyard deck, which is just all decks that say that reference the graveyard from the new Tarkir set. And it's so fun because it's a multiplayer game. Everyone is playing from the same graveyard. So everything that says like harmonize and renew and all of that stuff, you can cast a spell and then someone else can harmonize the same spell on their turn or whatever. And there's all these cool mill spells and ways to control the top of the deck. And it's super cool. It's like part of, a love letter or my own version of like Dan or something, but very few people are going to get those references, which is okay. But we wanted to something like that where people could take the deck and make their own game modes and say like, all right, let's randomly deal 10 cards and see what we get and just battle those cards. Or, let's draft. Let's deal out 30 random cards and we each go back and forth choosing the units we want. So you can make like your little battle composition team and all of that stuff. I'm so excited about this game. I'm so glad I did this. I'm so glad I actually talked about it on stream. Okay, so we have our little areas here. So if these things are going to be in play while I'm designing the card and making the card, I have to think about that. So one thing I'm thinking about is there is a world where I can actually have a similar thing of like Goldbeak's mouth coming forward, overlapping the pips here. Like that actually could work. As long as we still get that it has 4 power. Like that makes sense. It has 4 attack there, right? You guys can tell. So maybe it's like okay that the pips are part of the illustration and maybe we have some overlap. That's actually sick. That's actually high key sick. Not gonna lie. That's dope. That's super cool. Cool. Okay, so now we got to go through some ideas and we actually got to start sketching because I want to make some designs, guys. So let's go to my idea sheet. I have so many ideas on this sheet. Oh god. All right, one of the ideas is the elder moose. Something with a bobcat, a sneaky salamander. We got to do the sneaky salamander. Some kind of egg-eating snake. I like the idea because it can kind of like ally with the rodents because it wants to eat the bird eggs. Or something, or vice versa, because, whatever. Something with a badger. I want to do something with a kingfisher. Kingfishers are so sick. Like, what if there's like a cool kingfisher guy? I was thinking about a cool milk snake, just because the striping and the pattern is so visually interesting. Like, that'd be kind of dope. A snapping turtle. We got to design a snapping turtle. We got to do a falcon, an eagle, crows. I'm thinking like a murder of crows, a group of crows. Some kind of heroic mouse. I was thinking about a star-nosed mole. That would be a fun unit. And this is like very much like, think about like Redwall. Redwall is definitely the influence here. And like even what Wizard of the Coast did with Bloomborough, like that was a great take on the kind of Redwall style theming. It's like such a fun theme. It's so cool. I love it. Okay, so I think Sneaky Salamander is one we really got to look at and we got to focus in on. So let's pull up some salamander reference. And we've been talking about if we want things to be regionally specific or not. I think like it's definitely a yes or no, a yes and no. Where yes, we want things to be maybe referencing mostly North America, but I really don't think it needs to. I think we can have it be just crazy and cool. I don't think it needs to be regional. We want to put a rhino in the game, like as kind of like an homage, like maybe there are like animals that are champions from far away who have like come to battle for Farfield. War for Farfield. So I guess this is the first of many Kickstarter streams, I guess. But yeah, I mean, the world building for this has been super fun and super like intuitive, and I feel really natural doing it, and I feel really, really good doing it. Yeah, definitely will be covering this in the big course too. I'll be talking about my process for this and designing. As well as like live as well. Okay, cool. Wow, going for an hour already. We really have been just talking this whole time. Well, I'm on no specific schedule, so I can just keep going today. I don't really have anything. Normally, I'm like, I have 2 hours, I have to go, but honestly, we're cooking. All right, so we have some cool salamanders here. Let's make them small. Meh. Let's make the salamander small, see? Meh. So we want to do a sneaky salamander. Sneaky. Sneaky. Okay, all these we have to put under everything that we've been doing. Oh, layer management. Layer management, my beloved. Okay, cool. One thing we were messing around with the idea with, one thing that was kind of a key element we wanted to play around with is duos. So having multiple characters on the illustration at the same time. So something like this guy. We could have one kind of down here. See? I'm a salamander. And one kind of like looking up and over. I am worried about them competing with the pips, dude. I am worried about it. I'm not going to lie. It is a concern of mine. And it's a concern I've been kind of like, again, back and forth on with my collaborator. It's been tough to figure out how we're going to make this work. Maybe what we do is we remove the, we start by not having the, these on screen. We make a composition and then we come back with these. So I don't see them when I'm sketching. Ben says, will the cards have names? Where will you put them on the card? That's a great question. Still really thinking about that, honestly. It's a hard one. I mean, the one thing we might do is put like kind of a drop down thing on one of the borders, like down here or something like that for it, and have it reversible. So like both sides have it. It's something we're still, again, back and forth on. It's kind of, rough. We still might just put it kind of in the middle up here. We might put it on the border somehow. We're, again, still in the process of designing that. But that's kind of, luckily the card names and stuff is something we can continue to figure out. We might even just have it be text on the card. So we'll see. Elenico says, I'm so happy to see you streaming. Dude, how sweet is that? Thank you. I'm so happy you're so happy, man. We're both so happy. Nice. Nice. All right. Let's get our proper brush here and get cooking. We'll sit up. Cool. Ah, man, this desk is garbage. Okay. All right. Here we go. Cool. Ben says, asking because the one thing I like about Magic is the card names. Oh, dude, me too. Totally agree. Elenica says, I've always watched your every art process video. Whoa, that's crazy. All of them? All 95, 96, including this one? That's crazy. Thank you. That's really nice of you to say. Yeah, I've been streaming for a long time, man. And I love it. I love streaming. Streaming's super cool. I like the idea of some kind of like S-curve, like competing S-curve. Like one salamander's looking here. And he's kind of curling in. And this one's curling kind of from below. Or maybe coming out from this side, or maybe coming in front of this side. And looking out. Yeah, we'll start with a gesture. Maybe we start with one and we see if we can fit a second one in. So I think having the kind of like looking over gesture is really nice. It's kind of looking over its back. And I want to give it like a knife or something. Being kind of cute too. We love a cute salamander. Tulip says, very excited to see some progress. Me too, man. Me too. Especially because we're wanting to launch the Kickstarter in like mid-fall. It's definitely we gotta hustle. We gotta hustle. The other thing is like, do we let we might do like some Kickstarter tiers where we let people like design a card. Like if you have a favorite animal or like a cool critter, you want like a cool critter or something like that, we can do it. Or if you have like a dog, a pet dog that you love, we can put your dog in the game. Except for curly-haired dogs. No curly-haired dogs allowed. It's an art direction rule, guys. It's for world building. We can't... Don't be mad, guys. Why are you upset? Don't be upset, guys. Yeah, we're trying to think about cool ways to run the Kickstarter because, like, it's super easy to get lost in the whole, like, deluxe edition thing and the blurg and the blurg. Like, it can be a lot. So we want to try and minimize that for the most part and focus mostly on just having a good product that you can buy, keeping it really simple. Again, just like $25. You'll get a sick game. And maybe you can buy like a 2-pack or something if you want to give one to a friend. But of course, me, I'm like, art book. You can do an art book too, with all the designs and the cool sketches and all this world building stuff and a world map and lore and. But that's so much work. That's like more work than the actual game itself. Like doing an art book is crazy. It would have to be like a very minimal endeavor. Haha, yes, art book. Let's go. Is your icon uh uh Ace? Fire Fist Ace? Is your icon Fire Fist Ace? Am I crazy? I think I'm crazy. Hell yeah. He's a cool character. I really like Ace so far. Ace has been dope. I'm like almost at episode 400 of One Piece. I've been on the One Piece grind. It is not as slow as people say it is. It's actually pretty doable. Although I will say the current arc I'm on right now is feels a little not as interesting as some of the other arcs. Dude, I've been loving it. The Sky Island peak, so good. Sky Island, like, oh my gosh, talk about world building, dude. So interesting and so cool. I love the bromance of Noland and the Hunter from Sky Island. That was like so good. And then so that's been really awesome. And then I really, really liked the arc where they storm the place to save their friend, the person. Don't worry, guys. I'm not spoilering. Don't worry about it. We're not spoilering One Piece out here. And now everybody's fighting their own shadow currently. I'm in that arc, and it's like, it's not bad. I'm not having a bad time watching it, but it is definitely kind of like, oh wow, they're still here, kind of has that vibe of like, oh, they're still here, and I don't know if that's the feeling you want for your show. Oh man, yeah. Someone inferred some Sky Island stuff. I am excited. I'm excited to catch up. One of my buddies, he's the only person he knows who's actually caught up with One Piece, and it's like impossible for him to talk about because no one he knows is caught up with it, which I think is so funny. All right, the body of the salamander is proving to be really weird. I don't know how I'm messing this up so much. Okay, so wait, let me track this. So the belly's here. If I have the belly curve over like he's whipping around, and I do his little stumpy legs here, I guess that's okay, right? I want him to feel cool. I feel like the pose I'm doing right now isn't very cool. I think if I curve the tail back, it'll kind of fix the pose, because then I can have his leg going out and I can have this leg also going out and it won't feel weird. Yeah, that does fix it, but it definitely does change the vibe I was going for. Alternatively, what can I do this and then kind of have it curve, continue to curve over like this? Is that something I can do? Is that weird? It's kind of weird. We have to show it like kind of going under and around, and yeah, it's a bit of an odd one, not gonna lie. The salamander's defeating us, guys. I don't know what we're gonna do about the salamander. No, I liked how it was before. I like this big curve. I like this shape, and we're gonna find a solution. For certain, we're gonna find a solution. We're gonna crease that eye. Meh. Meh, see? I'm the sneaky salamander. Meh. Yeah, when we ink this guy, we're gonna add a ton of expression to the face. It's gonna be dope. It's gonna be dope. All right, for now, we'll stick with the body. We'll see kind of what it tells us it wants to do. Usually, the design will let us know what it wants to do. Whenever I shift my mindset into that, I always find a solution like really quick. We'll have another shape here. Maybe flip the upper part. Yeah, it's like the problem is I want it curving back in on itself. Like I think it's so cool, this kind of like C curve thing. It'll solve itself. We'll just give it a minute. I think I'm too nitpicky with the legs. I think I want the legs to be like really dynamic, but they don't have to be. Like they can be really simple and like not, it doesn't have to be this like big kind of catastrophe, you know? Tulip says also yes, artbook of some kind, dude. 100%. Grace Tulip says, would this one attack on the short side or the long side? Probably both. It would probably be like he's a well-rounded, sneaky guy, so he's probably like able to deal with multiple sides. Again, trying to think of like gameplay, because if he's a sneaky salamander, he probably has that capacity, right? He can be sneaky. He can be very sneaky. Meh. Let's check my phone. Skibidabadabadababa. Whoa, everybody. Whoa, you guys are signing up to the class, man. Nice. Very cool. Nice. Oh no. My girlfriend's watching. She knows I drink milk. Guys, cover for me. She can't know. She can't know. Quickly. Quickly, guys. Cover for me somehow. I don't know how you can do that. Quick. Guys, say I didn't drink milk in chat. Please. I didn't do it. I didn't do it. It was a joke. I was capping. I was cap. Yeah. Hitman Tutor says it's definitely not milk. It's definitely not milk. I did not drink milk while I was sick. I did not do that. And I definitely didn't do it twice. That's for sure. Ah. Funny. Okay, so I'm liking how this is going. I think I just gotta move the legs up and then we'll be fine. Oh yeah, there we go. Easy. See? Milk? What milk? Exactly. What milk? There's no milk. We don't know. We don't know what you're talking about. Babe, please. Babe. Please, babe. Babe. Also, if you are watching, if Isabel's watching, my beloved Isabel, whom I love more than anything in this world, if you are watching, I am going to eat the leftover Thai food that you left here. I am going to eat it. It's going to happen. I'm going to eat it. I'm going to eat it. Even though it has soy sauce, and I probably shouldn't. I'm gonna. You want to know why? Because I got that dog in me. That's why. This sneaky salamander is really cooking. He's awesome. Sneaky salamander. Oh, yes. And we'll put his head a little bit more down, right over the knife. Maybe we make his head a little bit smaller. No, then he's more of a lizard. Maybe make his head bigger because he's a salamander. Taller? No, that was way off. I had it right the first time. Although, yeah, no, salamander heads are closer to the arms in general. So doing this would not be weird at all. Just gotta make sure it feels cool. Meh, see? Meh. I'm the sneaky salamander. Meh. Here we go. Meh. We actually do the mouth. Meh. Oh, we made him really cute with that one. We made him really cute. Is he too cute now? He's a little too cute. Let me see. What do salamanders look like? What do their mouths look like? That is too cute. What the hell? Look at this. Look at that. Wow. All right, we did make him too cute. Put this guy up here again. Yeah, something like this. Guys, I think she bought it. I think we're safe. I think we made it. We survived. Okay. I do think we had it better the first time. With the head in particular, where it was placed. Yeah, I think higher somehow looks good. Although I do think we lost some of the riz of the gesture with where the legs are placed, I think. Although it kind of saved the logic, it kind of took away from some of the power of the pose. Yeah, that's probably good. Yeah. Yeah, I do like this. I think we can let the proportions be a little bit inaccurate for the sake of the gesture, I think. Okay. So, wow. I broke my Photoshop again. I hate when I do this. I don't know quite what I did, but it's something. Darn it. I think I have to restart my Photoshop foolishly. Heck. What is going on? All right, well, we'll save. What did we do? Oh, there we go. Fixed it. Let's go. Oh, but now we have this big scribble line. That's unfortunate. Oh, wait, never mind. Different layer. We're cooking. We did it. Okay, so. Sneaky salamander. The only thing I can think of that would improve this is if he had like a friend. That's why I kind of like the friend idea. Of like this guy, and then he's got his homie, who's another salamander. Something like this. They'd both be very sneaky. Nah, not quite. I think it would actually work better if he was on this side. And then we add, oh, there we go. We had another one kind of coming up. Ooh, wait, give me 1 sec, guys. I realized that I have to do something really quick. Give me 2 seconds. Okay, we are back. I realized I got super humid out of nowhere, so I needed to turn the AC on and switch out of my sweater really quick. One of the things about streaming is like you're around a computer, which can get hot. The Cintiq that I'm drawing on gets hot. The screen I'm next to gets hot. Everything gets hot. And the room I'm in is just a stuffy hot box, man. This room is so rough. And then if it gets humid, I'm cooked. I'm cooked. Okay. Let's clear all this stuff. Okay. We're back. We are back. Hit Mentor says, it's definitely not Milk. Oh, yeah, we did the whole thing. Tulip says, when you flipped it, it kind of looked like he was doing a rollout attack. Yeah, like there's something cool about yeah, I want that feeling of motion. The feeling of motion is, I think, the thing that I want the most. It could be possible that with this one, we want it to be kind of more down angled. Yeah, that honestly kind of fixed it on this end. Just a bit bigger, I think, probably. Meh. Nah, we lost some energy here, honestly. But it's okay. Like again, oh, honestly, guys, I'm pretty rusty, dude. I'm pretty rusty. Getting sick is not good. Don't do it. Don't get sick. That's my advice. If you're an aspiring artist, don't get sick. Man, there's always the shock when you see a salamander of how fast it moves to get away from you. Like you see it and it's little, but when it kind of slithers and scampers all around, you're like, what the hell? It goes like so quick out of nowhere. I want to capture that feeling with this sketch. So I want it to be like jumping over a thing, like it's coming at you. Also, another thing with the UI of these things is that realistically, they're not actually all going to be there for most drawings. You're usually not going to have all four for each design. You're only really going to have either 3 or 2. So if I just kept it to 3 and 3, that doesn't really impede the design all that much, to be honest. It doesn't really hinder or halt. Kind of feels okay. You know? Yeah, kind of feels good. So I think we'll be okay. And then if it's 2, it's literally just this, to be honest. Which again, not that bad. Although this makes me wonder if I could move these things a little bit more like over here kind of vibe. Like maybe I actually move them out here. Same with these. Man, the UI stuff is always the hardest stuff, eh? But it's okay. We're rolling with it. We are rolling with it. I mean, I love these salamanders. The sneaky salamanders. This is a pretty S tier design, I think, so far. I really like this a lot. I love the vibe. I love the feel. I think we can even make the gesture better by having more, a bit more of an active. Oops, wrong layer. What a classic. More active arms. So lifting the elbow here, having the foreshortening on the elbow, I think would be good. Nice. Yeah, I really appreciate all the curiosity and the questions you guys had about the actual game and stuff. Like, I didn't know how this would go because normally I just share stuff for my like art and design portfolio and projects that I'm working on or IPs that I'm developing for mostly for fun or for educational purposes. So like, it's cool to that you guys actually got pretty hyped for this one and had some great questions and um, very encouraging. It makes me want to work on this project a lot more on stream or even just like make videos about. I mean, obviously I'm going to be talking about it a lot when it actually goes live, but even so. Yeah, for designs like this, my game designer partner was talking about an ability like tail drop or something. Like if something bites onto the tail, they'll let it go because, you know, that's what happens in nature. The tail detaches and they can scurry away. I thought that was a pretty good, pretty cool idea. Don't know how we would show it. We'd probably need like some kind of token or something for the tail, maybe in a future build of the game. My game designer partner is kind of convinced we could actually make this into more of a TCG, not just an out of the box game. And I'm not opposed to it, but we'll see. We'll definitely see. Whenever you're working on a project, you always want to focus on like the first step of just make it exist and then see where you want to go from there. I like this other one, but it's at the same time I don't think it's working. I mean, if we just go all in on this guy, what's so bad about that? If we just make this the main theme of what's happening in this drawing, if we kind of crunch it down. It's a pretty dope design, but I do feel like the page needs something else is the problem. Um well, what if we still have him in the middle? Because I actually do like him in the middle. We could do a couple on the ground, coming over some rocks. And we could do kind of one up here a little bit farther away, kind of behind a rock as the rock is coming over. I do like that. I want to think more about how we can incorporate the environment into the mix here. And I do want some environmental stuff. So we can think about putting some rocks here. Okay, how do I... Right, cool. Cool, cool, cool. Yeah, hell yeah. I hope you guys who are watching are having fun working on your own project and drawing as well. I love getting comments where people are like, I put on your stream while I draw for school, or I draw for this, or I do this. Like, makes me so happy when I see that. Gets me hype. Because I remember, you know, when I was in school and I was studying and trying to figure it out, and like watching streams was super fun. Very like encouraging, and it made sketching a lot easier. It's sometimes hard to just like get started with sketching on a blank page. All right, we've been spending a lot of time on this one, and we can maybe think about moving on and doing another idea. I love this though. I think this went really well. I like the vibe. One thing I want to do a lot with these drawings is having motifs of scale that appear. So for instance, here we can have like a leaf design or something kind of come over the forefront of this salamander, so we can get a sense of the size of the salamander, because we'll see this leaf being this size here. And then for another thumbnail, when something is bigger, we'll put the same leaves but make them smaller. So you can really get a sense of the scale of the world. That's like one of the intentions of how we're illustrating this. And part of my mission as the art director is to figure that stuff out, make it make sense, make it look cool. Sneaky salamander. All right, I think the sneaky salamander was a success. I like it a lot. And it's going well. Peeking over the top, I don't know if I'm 100% sold, but we'll see. I'm liking it. I'm liking it. And in terms of perspective, I want everything to be very, very flat and be appealing from each angle, so we can imagine this being upside down and still kind of looking cool. Oh. It's one of the goals, so we want it to look cool even when it's upside down. I think we're getting it. We're getting there. Yeah. Yeah, it's looking sick. I like all the big flow lines. Something before we do the final, I think we'd want to check in on these flow lines. We have a nice continuous curve here where this shape goes into that shape. This shape is kind of hugged by this shape. This one kind of coming up to be met by this one. There's a cool kind of infinity pattern here in a way. We can probably have the tail of this one kind of hooking around to kind of meet and join up with this one as well. So we'll figure out all the ways in which the shapes are working together. We might want another shape kind of coming in here to help hold this whole thing together. And then how does it look with the pips on top? Yeah, that's looking fine. Honestly, even if this bottom one is covering the guy a little bit, it looks okay. All right, we're succeeding in our efforts and our endeavors. This is good. So we'll title this one Sneaky Salamander. Gosh, I sound so congested. God, I'm so sorry I'm so congested, guys. This kind of sucks. This stinks. Or this skinks. Get it? Because skinking. Okay, so next idea. What do we have? We had Sneaky Salamander. We had Badger. Something with bats. Bats is going to be hard. A Star-Nosed Mole. Gosh, for another day, man. For another day. For sure. The Elder Moose could be interesting. Ooh, the Falcon was something I kind of wanted to think about. Also, the Golden Eagle was one that I was really wanting to check out. And the Crows. Maybe we do a little bird interlude here. Liswa says, what if he has straps of blades on him flying around? It could create some interesting silhouettes. That's so true. Yeah, we could add some props, some like bandoliers. That's something I definitely want to include. I want to include some costuming information in the future. So definitely some like belts, some sashes, something to go around, give these guys some cool, interesting feels and some cool, interesting tools. Yeah, we could put knives and we could put things and we can put all manner of good stuff. Could even put a spike on the tail. Now that would be really Redwall, wouldn't it? With buckles and knobs and little pouches and objects and maybe even like a shoe or something. Yeah, there's some really cool stuff we can try. Yeah. All right, what if we try... So we had a problem where we wanted to do a moose because that's so cool to do a moose. But if we do a moose, what beats a moose? Nothing in this world can beat a moose. Moose are just like unbelievably strong and huge just in nature. Like we're not going to put a bear because a bear is just insane. Like how could a mouse fight a bear? But the idea of an elder moose, like a very old moose, could be interesting. So that's something that we were kind of like experimenting with, is the idea of like an elder moose. And we have that sort of very elder kind of vibe to the moose. Now we gotta pull up some moose reference. They're so weird, man. It's so scary, dude. They're so scary. So the thing with like giant creatures, and this is kind of an art direction thing as well, which has been a challenge, a good challenge though, is figuring out stuff like this, which is if you have a moose, how are you going to make it feel big? Well, one of the things that we're going to do is we're going to make it so it's almost like bending into frame. So we'll probably have it to the point where it's coming into frame and we can have the horns breaking the silhouette almost entirely. You'll still be able to see that gameplay information, but for the most part, this is going to be totally kind of overlapping this front section and totally overlapping the top as well. So that's really cool because it tells you that these big creatures that are coming forward that are super powerful and scary and giant, they are not to be trifled with. And he's kind of bending over and his body doesn't fit all in frame. You know, you have that big hoof coming forward. So this is how you make it fit within the same world, but you have it literally breaking out of the card frame, maybe more so than something else, just because of how big it is. Look how big this thing is, right? That really sells the size. Then what we do is, what did we just say about the salamanders and the leaves? How we have that 3-prong leaf being pretty big, right? So that when we do the moose, oh no, we accidentally combined. Oopsie. We'll cut this and put on the right layer. Yeah. So then when we have this frame here and we have some foliage, we can literally do that same leaf, but now like much smaller on the foliage. So the same leaf, but now you can see the salamander would be like this big in comparison to the moose, right? So by referencing the same kind of flora, you can scale your fauna properly. That was one of the techniques that we're using in this game to make it feel good. And that was all yours truly, man. Really proud of that. I'm really proud of myself and how like quickly these things came together, like these different kind of like rule sets came together on how I can solve these problems. And I will tell you, it's not just like from a place of oh, this is just the right thing to do, I'll just do that. It's like I have thrown myself at projects that have gone nowhere, like literally hundreds of times. And I'm so glad I kept doing it, because what you get on the other side is you get people talk about experience being valuable. And when you're getting started and you're like really kind of hot-headed and you're really focused on just being able to draw, and you can finally be able to draw, you're like, finally, I can draw. Yippee. Now everything's fine and great, and I can just make cool art. And it's like, that was just to get in the door. Like, being able to draw is just to be able to get in the door. The rest of it is literally your process, your problem solving, your thinking. And that's like now becoming the most important thing. Whereas you were so fixated on the quality of your drawing, so fixated on that you forgot to actually have a good process. But I'm very glad that while I was training and really pushing myself to be a good artist, I was still throwing myself at projects and having a hard time, but still just throwing myself at it, because that's actually how you end up getting the skills that you want and need for the projects that you really like and really want to do. It's hard to know really kind of what you want to do when you're starting out, because again, you're just fighting for your life to be able to just do it at all. But giving yourself the space and the repetition of just going back and forth on projects and things that you've been thinking about and working on, it's definitely the way to go, in my opinion. Oh, Vern's back. Welcome. Lisa says, oh no, we did that one. Hitmentorus is very clever. Ooh, thanks. Chatty on Fire says, good stuff, man. You killing it, brother. Killing it? You killing it. Thank you. What the heck? I really appreciate all the encouragement, guys. Like actually, I really, really appreciate it. I'm really trying to train myself to be a good receiver of like love and compliments, which is not easy. Not easy to do, to be good at that. And I'm really trying to get good at it. It's a very valuable skill, I think. And it's one that I'm really, really working to improve. Let's go moose. Yeah, I love this moose. It's so cool. The only thing with this rough sketch is that it's not matching the directionality. Like, this has to be coming forward here, and then it'll work. Yeah, that just fixed it. Just that one mark fixed it. Okay, sick. So we have the thumbnail for this pretty much done. The rest of this is just going to be like trees breaking in the foreground and stuff or whatever. I might have like branches and stuff literally breaking out of the frame for some of these, but that's really like a may or may not kind of do thing. But the energy here is going to be really cool and supremely powerful and fiery and nice. So that's the kind of vibe for the moose, and that's what I want for the larger creatures in this game. They just are breaking the frame. You don't see the whole thing, right? Vern said also asked earlier what Armello is. Armello is a virtual video game with animal factions fighting. Oh, sick. Oh, I see. There were anthros for sure. For sure. Hell yeah. Cool art direction. Oh, sick. Rafe says, man, I was obsessed with the vibe of Armella for a long time. Hell yeah. Secret Starlight says, you're making game? Hell yeah, I'm making a game. Technically, I'm making like 5, but this one is actually in production currently. Pre-production's over. We're in production. So yeah, I'm making a game. Hell yeah, dude. A lot of people say that and they don't really mean it. And I am afraid of being somebody who says it and isn't actually meaning it, but I am actually meaning it. And I am, because it's happening and I'm doing it. So that's cool. Oh, this moose is so cool. And then we'll indicate the age of the moose with like the age of the kind of whiskers. We'll gray out the hairs and we'll make it feel kind of feebly and spindly. I'm going to emphasize the sinews of the arms. And I'm going to emphasize the bones, and I'm going to show how thin and kind of emaciated this creature is. One time I was teaching a class and I was saying, I wanted to say emaciated, and I kept saying it over and over and over because it was relevant to all the designs, except I wasn't saying emaciated. I was saying masticated because I got them confused in my mind. And so I was like, wow, this guy's chewed up, because mastication is like chewing. And that was pretty funny. And that my lady pointed that out for me. She's like, you're saying masticated instead of emaciated. I was like, ooh, hilarious. But I was also watching this like comedy thing on like YouTube, and someone said, wow, the vibrato. And they meant bravado, but I heard vibrato because they said vibrato. So I was like, I watched this same clip like 8 times trying to figure out like, where's the vibrato? Where's the reference to music? Like, where is it? So funny. 5? Yeah, I've got my TCG that is very much in pre-production that I'm still working on the art direction for and the mission for. I've got a board game I'm working on, or a card game I'm working on with a collaborator. I've got this card game I'm working on. And then I have 2 pitches for actual games that are, again, like beyond pre-production. Like they're not even in pitch state yet. So I have stuff I have in the pocket, but it's, you know, meh. Meh. Vern said, is there an aquatic faction? I mean, there's going to be like there's going to be like toads, probably some frogs and some reptiles, but not like a fish. We'll probably do some otters though. There's beavers. So there's going to be some stuff. But the 2 main factions are going to be like birds versus rodents. If the game does well and we do a future spinoff, we'll have 2 different factions at war in that one. You said no crocs? Brother, let me show you the first pitch image for this game that we made. The first pitch image was this. A raccoon riding a crocodile. You bet there's crocodiles, baby. Old head way to say chopped, true. Chatty says, what made you want to do a game project? Are you doing the dev yourself? What engine are you going to use? So I'm making an actual physical card game. So I have a game designer I've collaborated with who's been helping me play test and figure out the game design. We've been collaborating on a ton. We've been making the game together. And I wanted to make it because it needed to be made. It was like in my brain and it needed to come out. I had to make it. And it's going to be so sick. It's going to be so fun. Rafe said, would you mind giving the project spiel again? For this one? Yeah, very briefly. No mere raccoon could tame a crocodile. Dude, of course a raccoon could tame a crocodile. A raccoon could befriend a crocodile. Rafe says, if you make a juicy TCG system, I'll be there one day. I'll be there day one. Dude, hell yeah. Yeah, I've got a cool TCG I've been working on. It's sick. Yeah, also very animal themed, but that one kind of died, so this one could live in a way. I still have the project, but I might warp it, change it a little bit. Who knows? That's so rad. Let's go. Hell yeah. Jetty says that's nice, actually. Dude, it's so cool. Yeah, it's going to be super dope. But yeah, the project spiel is this is a tactical turn-based strategy war game where you're using cards that depict animals that are at war. So the gameplay is going to be movement-based. It's going to be kind of strategy tile-based. I'll give a quick spiel of how it could work. So if it's on a grid system and you have a 2-to-1 aspect ratio card and you have another 2-to-1 aspect ratio card, you could have it so like you place your guy here, he places his guy there. Maybe you can't attack on this side, but you can attack on this side, and maybe you can attack on this side, or you know, whatever it ends up being. And they place their guy there. He can attack on both of these sides, but not on this side or the back side, you know, because the units are different and specific. Let's say you play it this way. You can like reinforce your unit, and you can put like a ranged unit here, back here, and then that can hit this guy. And then he goes, oh, you played your range unit. Well, now I'm going to play my trump card, which is like, I'm going to play my, we have a cool system called Predator, where you can sacrifice a creature. You have to sacrifice a creature to cast a bigger creature. You can play your big bad here, huge guy, and he's going to eat your guy if you're not careful. So you have to like reposition, and then you can play like your flying character on their back line. But oh no, you played into their trap, and they actually had a counter for the back line, and they have their guy here, and he plays it here. But then you move your predator up, and you rotate this guy this way. So it's movement based. It's playing out cards. You only have like probably around 5 cards per game. So you choose what order you play them. You can either play a unit, you can move your units, and then in between at the beginning of your turn, you can choose to do combat or no. And the combat system is very simple. It's just like if the damage you can deal to a unit is equal to or exceeds the defensive stat it has, then it dies. And so it's a really cool way. And then if it has high defense, but some character can like ignore high defense, then it's like, whoa, very powerful. So like there's all these different things, different ways. Flying, we've been trying to balance flying. Flying seems to be the most powerful way to beat in the end game. So we nerfed it so you can't just fly anywhere. You have to only fly in one direction infinitely. So you can fly in this direction to this side. But you can't rotate your unit, so it has to stay in this orientation. So if all your attack sides are here and you try to flank on this side, all your attack sides will be there anyway, so you'll have to like figure it out. So the combat's really interesting and the pacing's interesting. It's a game where you can really think multiple turns ahead. It's dope. It's so dope. And the gameplay, like every time we're like, is this gonna work? We try it and it like works perfectly, and we're like, let's go. So it's like it's going better than we could have hoped. It's pretty flawless in terms of how the gameplay system actually works. The gameplay feels super snappy. The only thing we're trying to solve for is stalemates, and I think that is solved in the game design rather than in the game rules. So we're trying to design cards that make stalemates very hard to happen. They happen rarely in chess, but you can do it. But in this game, you can kind of force a stalemate pretty easily. What makes the game interesting is that there's no grid you're playing on, but the cards make a grid themselves because they're a 2-to-1. So you have 1-2. So everything creates a locked grid system. The idea is that you can never break from the grid. You can never ever break from the grid. So if you try to move one unit away over here, and then this would disappear, that's an illegal move. You can't do that. And the flavor is like you turn to run away, and you get chased down and you die. That's like the flavor of it. But what it does is it makes it interesting because forcing movement, preventing movement is like a really interesting thing. Yeah, there you go. Predator is a huge flavor win. Oh my god, yeah. Predator was like my favorite way to play when we were playtesting initially, because I would just choose, because they were so broken stat wise. They'd be like 4 attack, 4 defense, really powerful sides and everything, and he would be my gameplay game designer friend. We'd be testing it out, and we're like, I would just choose like all the predators and like some bait units, and then I would just like outstat all of his guys. It was like really funny, but that's in the most recent build. It's not as good. Balancing is always a thing. I think like there's some certain rules we have to have. Like you can't ever have for attack and for defense. Like that's just too good. And there's certain things I think that we want to do. But there we go. But yeah, thanks for the curiosity. So that's the gameplay, the vibe, and so we're designing the cards to fit the flavor and also have the gameplay to back it up. The one thing I have to solve is how we're going to do keywords, because some creatures have like charge or flying or like pierce or swift or whatever. Where do I put it on the card? I want to put it as an icon somewhere, but where? I think maybe we put it in the middle of these icons. Maybe a character can only ever have 2 keywords, and we put them there and there. Nah, I really don't know. It's really hard to know where to put that stuff. Yeah, that is a bit of a, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. I think we'll just start designing cards and we'll see how far we get. So, okay, no shading for now. I like the moose as it is. We're going to show the age through like wrinkles and through age and through probably maybe a little bit of a more of a passive, droopy kind of expression rather than a hardened, intense expression. Most likely. But yeah, the flavor is the only way anyone's going to be able to battle a moose is if it's very old. Something like that, right? Whoa. You guys have so many things to say. Interesting, seems fun. I'm ready to watch the tournaments of this. Yeah, we were actually thinking about how we're going to run tournaments, like how is it possible, and like how we would set it up, and what game modes would be tournament legal and what game modes wouldn't be, and like, because we want to do multiple game modes for the thing, so we'll see. Chatty says, even I'm not into card games, but I vibe with the idea of the gameplay. Yeah, it's like, again, it's not, we don't want it to be like, people shouldn't think of it like Magic or Pokemon or Yu-Gi-Oh! Like, you should think of it like chess, or like chess poker, basically. That's how you should think of it. But like with cool, fun flavor and exciting, like cool stuff. Vern says, need to have one guy have something strong so players are forced to interact. Yeah, exactly. That's the whole thing. Forcing players to interact, forcing players to do stuff is the way. David Schmidt says, new Mortal Kombat movie was pretty good and funny. Thanks, David. Thanks for telling me, man. I really, thank you. That rules, dude. Hell yeah. Rafe says, sounds epic. Thank you for explaining. My pleasure. Vern says maybe a symbol to represent it. Totally a symbol, but where on the card? That's the question, is where on the card. Yeah, that's the main thing, is figuring out where we put that stuff is going to be the key. It could be possible we do need another area for indicating stuff. It's annoying. Why can't it just be art and stats? That'd be cool. Probably the white layer. Yeah, you'd think, but it's more complicated than that. So I'll show you again. We'll refer back to our gameplay, our testing units. We've been using this to do gameplay tests, and it works phenomenally well because you have the stats, you have the sides that can attack, which is what the white space is going to be reserved for. The border is going to be reserved for indicating which sides can attack where. And then we've been having the elements like in the center as you just like read them. Like it has, immobile or prickly or swift or charge. It just has it and you just read it. So if we have the symbols, we need a place on the card that isn't going to wreck the aesthetic of the thing. And that like works well. I think what I'll probably end up doing is a slight interior, like extra bevel. So like this, I'll probably end up doing something like this. Check this out. I'll probably end up doing something where I copy this, I make it smaller. I really appreciate the input, guys. Thanks for thinking about this and helping me brainstorm this, because this is like the hard part, which I've been avoiding, and which is what has made the game harder to work on. But I might do a slight border just for visual clarity to separate the these two kind of sections here. And then I'll probably end up doing like a break in the middle where on both versions, where's my other version? This version. Where I make a circle within this, and then I put the icon like here. Something like that along an edge, for instance. I could have it so that oh, you know what we could do? We could do it so it's that exact design, but we have it, yeah, we have it like mirrored. So we have one here, maybe if they have two keywords there, and we repeat it here and we repeat it here so that it's like a mirrored thing. So you can't miss it and and it's an icon. That does not look bad graphically. That does not look bad graphically. That looks pretty okay. And in this case, the antlers would overlap. So the antlers would overlap here. They would overlap this one, but you would have the information from this side here. So you wouldn't need perfect information on both. I think we did it. I think we did it. Guys, thanks for the validation. Everybody, applause sound effect. I need a soundboard. Guys, I need a soundboard. Hot dog. Hot dog. So I haven't thought of myself as like a streamer. I've thought of myself as an artist who streams. But I could, hear me out, guys. I could just go more into just being a streamer and like focusing more on entertainment than actually like just focusing on the art or whatever. Like, or just being like, I'm an artist. I'm a professional artist, guys. What if I actually just started being like, yeah, I am a streamer. I stream, I use humor and charisma and weirdness to be entertaining with art. Might burn me out. Oh, you'd be surprised, dude. You'd be surprised. Burnout and me, I don't really know. I don't know how to burn out, dude. Well, anyway, I am for sure going to cut the last hour of this. Holy cow. We popped off. This has been super fun, guys. Like I said before. I guess I'll record a real outro because I'll splice the middle one. Also, I'll splice that middle bit out. So we'll do a real outro. But yeah, we're going to end it here, guys. This has been super fun. Do not forget to check out the free workshop in 2 days. 3 days. Wednesday? No, Thursday, Friday? Thursday, Friday? I think it'll be in 2 days tomorrow. Guys, check out the free Intro to World Building workshop happening this weekend, the 16th and 17th of May. Completely free for you. And if you want to learn with me on a continued basis, there's a 10-week world building design boot camp. High intensity, not for beginners. I'm serious about that. It's going to be super fun. Signups are in the description. You can check it out. And I'll be back soon with another stream. Much love, everybody. You guys rule. And I'll talk to y'all soon.